Well, everyone, it's time to wrap up International Podcast Day 2020. We started some 30 hours ago in our stream across the world to talk to podcasters, entrepreneurs, bloggers, people within the industry, technical people. Yeah, I guess you could say pretty much anything associated with podcasting. And Dave, I first want to actually go over what a great event this year was. In the year of COVID, the year of uncertainties, in the year of question mark, communities have really come together, and especially in the podcast space, to put together unique venues, great ways to interact, to provide information, to do some of the impossibilities that typically we would normally all gather for. And I know both of us have missed those opportunities this year because of what's going on. But it's truly been a pleasure to really see the podcast communities come together and embrace the ideas of being virtual and to lend a hand and to be what I think we should all be. So, in my perspective, Dave, the difficult year of 2020 in relationship to International Podcast Day was a huge success. And I'm really grateful to all the men and women that are behind the scenes, that are in front of the scenes, that sponsor our programs, that come on and present, sometimes at very odd hours of the day or night. And it's those that really make our celebration, and that's what we are, is a celebration of podcasting. And I don't want to forget the roots of podcasting, as we had Adam Curry on, the Podfather, earlier this evening, who talked briefly about the history and how he started the original podcasting, to where we're at today and potentially podcasting 2.0 with some of the new generations of RSS distribution, and we could go on down the list. Because the podcasting, it's not a coin anymore. It's not a throw around term. It is a real thing. Podcasting is here to stay. And next to that, I want to certainly express my gratitude to you personally as this year's Gratitude Award winner. It is so deserving that I can never put it into words. And during our opening, I choked up. I lost it because it was emotional. Because anybody that puts their heart and soul into anything like you have over the years with International Podcast Day is commendable. It's appreciated, and especially being my son, it's so rewarding. So congratulations, and I'll take your 2 bits of overview from you now.
Well, it has been a great day, and as I've always said, and I will say this with every conversation, every interview, every time I'm on any panel, any broadcast, any invited to any conference, the first thing I always say is that International Podcast Day exists because the community wants it to exist. 2014, when Steve and I kicked this off as National Podcast Day here, just exclusively in the United States, at the time, we just did a fragmented 6-hour broadcast, brought in a couple of our friends. It kind of hit a chord with a lot of podcasters, and then boom, it instantly reached out because the industry, the community of podcasters and the audio enthusiasts out there said, we can make this bigger. And they put that on our shoulders, and we willingly went across international borders virtually to make this thing happen. And so since 2015, thank you so much to everybody in the 70 different countries and the nearly 300 podcasters that we featured. And we featured podcasters, as I said, 70 countries, multiple different languages they have broadcasted in. And the reason it's successful is because of them. And Steve and I can plan things out, and I can reach out to different communities and create panels and all those different things. But if the community doesn't want it, it dies. And I think that's ultimately what is happening here, is that IPD and International Podcast Day, as we sort of condense it throughout the year, exist because of you, the people that are out there, those that are using the hashtag, those that are celebrating their own unique ways, that are scheduling pub crawls. This was more of a thing last year. That are doing live recordings, that are doing launch parties, that are scheduling large virtual meetups now, that are now creating podcast festivals specifically to air or in-person events on International Podcast Day itself. We know there are hundreds of people, and I can search through the hashtag, that have started their podcast or made their entry into the podcasting space on International Podcast Day itself. Mark Asquith, one of our good friends and buddies, big time supporter, in 2015, he launched his career and has completely changed his trajectory. I know several people that are like 4-year anniversaries for their business, for their podcast, and it's revolutionized lives, and it's changed so many voices and changed so many personalities, and has really changed the industry. And so as Steve is just scrolling through all of our amazing podcasters and industry leaders through this year, it's just been an incredible feat. And again, it's because of those individuals and it's those corporations that continue to get behind us and support us. And that's what gives me the energy year in and year out. And you know, day in and day out, to build the community, to connect the community, to help collaborate in the community. And as we talked about on the kickoff, you know, nearly 30 hours ago, as you mentioned, it's about building relationships, and it's about creating that sense of community. It's about investing in each other and sort of that pay it forward sort of servitude that I find most rewarding out of this adventure and everything that we plan. So that's my kind of 2 bits. I don't think International Podcast Day exists unless it's for the community, because like I said, 6 hours here in the United States, if it fell flat on its face, we would have never had this day. Maybe someone else would have taken it. It would have looked a lot different. But that's how things played out, and I cannot be. I am 100% grateful for just being a small fraction of the success known as International Podcast Day. I think you're muted. You're muted.
It helps to push the button, and that, folks, that's what happens after a gazillion days of looking at a screen. And I'm a ding dong, so let me try this again. Sorry about that, folks. I want to talk about our sponsors real quick, because they're an integral part, and it's not from a monetary reason, although it certainly helps. It's from a position of it adds value. It adds a concrete evidence that we have a viable platform that we're going to use to reach out. And I want to start with Blueberry, who the past, I believe, 3 years has been our platinum sponsor. Todd Cochran and the entire organization for being our platinum sponsor. We really, truly appreciate them. So please go check out Blueberry, and hopefully they have a service for you. Focusrite and Podiant were our gold sponsors. And I really have to, take my hat off to these, because what they did is they came in and sponsored, but on their time slot, they didn't want to talk about their products. They wanted to use what they had purchased to really flag and show other podcasters. And we had 2 wonderful presentations from these companies to really flag very unique podcasters, great discussions, and I appreciate them allowing their time and their money for those presentations. We also, and people don't hear a lot about our celebration supporters, and we have podcastpage.io, Hindenburg, The Waves of Tech, and Resonate. And please go over to our sponsor page, check them out. There's promo codes, there's free trials. I hope you will check them out. And if nothing else, send them a tweet or something and say, thank you for sponsoring International Podcast Day. Couldn't find the mouse there, Dave.
Yeah. I actually I love our partnerships because, for example, Todd we've known for Todd and the Blueberry team has been, of course, very supportive. But they are another organization and corporation that is 100% invested in the new initiatives and the new technology behind podcasting. They look out for the podcaster and their content and their protection and their services first. And Focusrite, I mean, we ran into Dan Hewley last year down at the Outlier HQ conference down in Los Angeles and just struck up a partnership right there. And then Podient with Mark Stedman from the United Kingdom out there, that just came out of nowhere. And what he was able to do with his 3-minute independent podcasters pitch, we will have a replay. We will share that out. Absolutely incredible. Just everybody who is involved, as I mentioned, from the community members, whether you're a podcaster, an audio enthusiast, or a company, you just have a podcaster's heart and you're looking out for everybody and you want to support and grow this media that we love so much. And yeah, just absolutely incredible. We definitely encourage you to head over always to our site, check out the speakers, the sponsors, and just dive in and connect and learn about them. And they're always looking out after the independents, and they're always looking to grow that audience, which I know that we are heart and heart, hand in heart, whatever that term is. I don't know. We're right there, hand in hand with them.
I heard our last presenter talk about she watched the debate last night. But I'm going to tell you the real truth, folks. International Podcast Day trended #1 over the presidential debate. Now, that's a round of applause, okay? And that is because of the really committed people out there. This year, Dave, International Podcast Day took a life of its own. We did no advertising. We didn't do anything. The world knew it was coming and started the party. And I think that's probably one of the biggest compliments that we could ever get, is that it just takes on its own. And I'm really proud of that sensation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I mean, there are things that people look forward to every year, and whether whatever industry it is, if you work in technology, you're looking forward to the Apple and the Google events. If you work in healthcare, you're looking for, different conferences and events you can go through, and whatever industry you're in, and podcasting is the one we of course 100% focus on. You look forward to this day. You look forward to the podcast movements. You look forward to the Outlier events. You look forward to a variety of different things around the space. But International Podcast Day will always be on that list of things to do, a reason to congregate, a reason to celebrate. And, I love that, Steve, year in and year out, people learn more about International Podcast Day, and they're like, oh, we had a couple hosts on that when I reached out to them, like, I had no idea this podcast day even existed. I'm 100% involved and invested in it. And it just takes, Steve, podcasting just a little bit of interest, and then you are sucked in. And International Podcast Day does exactly that, because it gives us a day to celebrate. And I think that's the premise in which you founded, and we have built International Podcast Day off of that. Is you find your own unique way of celebrating, you get yourself involved, whatever that looks like, you do it. And I think that's ultimately, as I've always mentioned, I always give props to the community for making it happen.
So I cheated a little bit, Dave, and started early. I do have an International Podcast Day alcoholic beverage with me, because when we're done here, it's there you go. You have your water.
Yep.
It's time to kick back and reflect. And the reflection becomes the good, the bad, the ugly. We go through it in the next few days, and we start building for next year. And I think that's one of the opportunities that are really fortunate for us, to have a vast amount of time to really kind of put the next year together. It's not like we're doing something once a week or once a month. So with that, I'm going to keep the finale kind of short this year, Dave, in that You can go back and listen to all the sessions and get all the good informations. You don't need to listen to me blabber my mouth because it's probably not working anyway. So I'm going to give you the final thoughts and I'll wrap up, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's once again, thank you so much to the community, the podcasting industry, the podcasters, auto enthusiasts, everybody who isn't behind the mic, but everybody that gets out there and rate and reviews and sends tweets to their favorite podcasters and shows up and shares on social media. The day has really taken a life of its own. And one thing that Steve, I know we strove for this year was we had our 24-hour live schedule, but we also incorporated some recorded videos that the likes of Saudi Arabia, Dominican Republic, Canada, Finland, Egypt contributed. So we're going to be looking to expand that a little bit more next year. As you said, we always tend to plan. But also, what we want to do is we want to build a more consistent space for live broadcasting. So you can look forward to a monthly broadcast brought to you by me and some different podcast creators from around the world. And we're going to keep this thing going on a month-to-month basis, not to anything of a 24 or a 32-hour stream, but we will have a monthly broadcast of it, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, featuring, as we always have, voices from around the world, those that need their voices to be heard, that deserve their voices to be heard, and it deserves to be shared on a different platform outside of just their own region and just outside of their own podcast feed and outside of their own audience. So we definitely have a lot of things in store. And once again, heartfelt thank you to the entire community. And I wish I had a graphic I wanted to put up on our share screen, but it's too late. But it's been another fantastic year. And once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this possible. We can do our part, but the community is what makes this make or break. And every year we continue to make it, but we also continue to break records, which means we trend more, which means more people are interested in podcasting, which means more people are listening. And as you mentioned at the top of this hour, where the global pandemic with coronavirus and COVID-19 really shifted how podcasters record, how they distribute their content, how their consumption moves, and as I like your mask there, and as audio enthusiasts and audio consumers, we had to adapt and we had to find new ways to continue to listen, where we weren't going to the gyms, we weren't riding in the cars, and we weren't taking the subways and public transit and these things. But we always persevere and we're always adaptable. And I think that's ultimately how podcasts were born, that there was a need, there was a demand, and we always find a way to get around that. So we're an incredible, flexible, innovative, and adaptable breed of podcasters. And thank you so much to the industry that continues to change and adapt and modify and sort of rebirth itself year after year. It's just incredible. So yeah, again, thank you so much for an incredible year. Good luck searching that hashtag, because you will find so much stuff. It'll take you days to get through. But that, again, speaks to the power of podcasts internationally at this point. You're muted again.
No, I wasn't. I was just moving my lips and no voice was coming out. So people are asking where they can buy this mask, and I made it myself. So this is all mine. Dave, every year I attempt to come up with words to lay the final foundation of what's happened. And it's always difficult. But let me put it this way for ending of 2020's International Podcast Day, and that I have never seen the world so energized in celebration of podcast, and that Happy International Podcast Day now is almost like saying Happy New Year, Happy Independence Day, Happy whatever. And I'm happy. I'm not going to play the happy song because I don't like it. But I want to encourage people to really strive for excellence, number one. Number two, do not give up. You and I have been podcasting since 2007. We've had ups, we've had downs. But the thing that is the most important, we have fun with it. We really have fun doing it, and we enjoy it. And that's what keeps us drive. If you ever have the opportunity at a water cooler, at a grocery store to say, hey, have you ever heard of a podcast? And they say, no. You say, let me show you. You might enjoy this. Pull out your phone and show them what they can do. You'd be amazed at their response. We have to evangelize this storytelling, this discussion, this informational electronic medium to tell the world, here I am. It's the most intimate thing there is to have somebody put an earbud in their ear and you speak to them. It's powerful. We can change a world through the voices of podcasting, not through traditional mediums. It's the love of the art that we love, the commitment we have, because most of us all do it for free. And we add value back into the world that we live. That's my recommendation. That's my challenge. And I think that should be our passion to carry forward until next September 30th, Dave.
Sounds good. I just want to finally wish everybody a very happy and celebratory International Podcast Day. We look forward to bringing you bigger and better things next year. And once again, shout out to the community, you guys and gals, everybody in the space is making it happen. So hashtag International Podcast Day, and have a happy celebration and a good couple days of recovery, because I know some of you have been in the chat room enjoying this live stream as long as Steve and I have. So yeah, rest up. It's going to get bigger next year.
Until 2021. Happy International Podcast Day. Take care.